So, without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Robin Lang. You gotta beat this thing. Thank you so much, Robin.
Thank you so much. All right, so good morning. My name is Robin Lang, she, her pronouns. Thanks so much for being in here. I really appreciate that. So I'm trying to keep the microphone get close. Come on in, plenty of seats.
Robin, you gotta talk closer to the microphone.
I am eating the microphone. Okay, I'll stay
Like 1 inch
actually,
from the
maybe I can do that better. Does that work better? Okay. So I'll keep it close. So this session was created to help folks, service providers with LGBTQ veterans that want to better serve that community. Quick orientation, heard this several times, but we're using something called AHA slides. If you have a smartphone or a laptop or something, if you have a smartphone, you can scan the QR code. If you have a laptop, you can type in the QR code. That'll make the session interactive for you. It also, that's how I take roll, and I know who to send things to later on. Let's see, scanning the barcode. You'll also notice once you get there, there's a little thing at the bottom that says, ask a question. You can ask a question on here at any time. It can be about things about the slide. It can be about something you've always wanted to know but was too embarrassed to ask out loud. There is an anonymous function, so you can submit it. I can't see on the back end who it is. It actually is anonymous. They can be personal questions or anything like that. Polite personal questions. I won't ask you to move forward. I think there's a special place that Dante created for folks that ask people to do that. Another quick note, unfortunately this is just my voice, so please bear with me. I don't get much louder than this. I'm not sick. I've had 2 surgeries to try and fix it, but this is what I'm stuck with for life. Also, I have to drink a lot, and it's very hard for me to speak. I have to take in a lot of air, so like, why the heck is she talking so much? I have to take breaths of air to talk, so. Let's see. Also, this can be an emotional topic for some people, and people may share things that they prefer other people not know. The camera's to the back of your head, so that people can't identify you, but just keep that in mind. The session is recorded. If you're in the room, take the lessons away with you, but don't take the person's name and anything else. So leave those details here, but take the lessons with you. So who am I? Again, Robin Lang, her pronouns. I'm the LGBTQ+ program manager for the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm one of only 2 that do this in the entire United States. It's actually written into the revised Code of Washington, so my job is part of Washington State law. I am a veteran. I started out as a E1 private medic, but I did something called Green the Gold, which is basically just a program where I got college. I came back in as an officer, and I retired as a colonel.
You already said that once.
And I got to have fun in the gardens out in Bosnia, Iraq, and Afghanistan. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to look at cultural competencies and those inclusive practices that will help you assist LGBTQ veterans. And that's someone that's committed to observing inclusive practices and providing a safe space to serve those veterans with dignity and respect. This is not a review of how to do VSO paperwork. I assume you know how to do VSO paperwork. A veteran is a veteran is a veteran. However, some veterans have different traumas than others. This session is to help you deal with that side of it, not the paperwork side. This writing is super tiny. On your device, you can go back and read all of these. I just listed all the objectives. I have all these because I do this for CEUs as well. So I have to be clearer about the objectives, but you can read about them. Okay, if you look at your phone, you will notice that there's a place to add your name. And you'll see magic happen in a second. There's also a short question, a short stupid question. The software requires that I ask a stupid question. I don't know why it does that, but if you can look at your phone and enter the information, and I'll give a few minutes for folks to do that. I'm going to turn off the QR code. If someone needs the QR code, just let me know, but I'm going to turn off the instruction bar and there. And we're getting more folks in, so I'm going to turn it on. For the folks just coming in, if you have a smartphone, there's a QR code on the screen. If you scan that, these you have to see.
Okay.
Oh,
I know.
What embarrassing fashion trend did you used to rock?
What is the most embarrassing?
Oh, the most embarrassing. Gaucho pants. My daughter, when she was like 4 years old, they were so wide, the gaucho pants, she called them wobbly pants because she would walk around wobbly. That's too many.
Well, we've got 2 entries for the MC Hammer.
Yeah.
And those are what else was it? Z coverage. I think that was popular back in the day. Can you click it up? Yeah, just so the folks can see it. Is there anyone else who needs more time?
Ooh, the side pony, yeah.
Let me go down.
Okay, that's
I think it needs more down there before the let me scroll.
okay. It was probably. Did anyone have the airbrushed T-shirts that have characters and things? I remember that being a thing for a while. Sadly, I had one of those. Yeah. All right, I still see folks typing away.
I'm gonna assume it says fanny packs.
Oh, I forgot about those.
Wait, why is it like? That's hilarious.
That was just a joke, and we made it try to have my own buyers.
You got your own bangs, oh no.
They came out very short
Oh no.
and very atrocious.
Oh.
Oh, the country's so short.
That was so bad, that was great.
I lived in Hawaii for a while and they had one of those soul or something stores.
Yes.
The whole store was colored purple.
Come to the hyper-colored
If you came in and you have a smartphone, if you scan that up there, allow you to join the presentation. And then we'll move on to the next.
Good icebreaker question.
I think okay. If you're able to enter your data on that, and then we'll move on after that. I think for the folks that just came in over there, if you have a smartphone, you can scan that, you can join the presentation. While we're doing this, the next slide is going to ask you, what do you hope to learn today? This gives me a chance to look at what the audience thought they were getting and what I'm getting, and I can spend more time on things. So be thinking about that now, because that will be the next question. I think we're almost there. Does anyone need more time? Or is anyone having trouble? Does anyone need more time? Are you good? Okay. Magically, it appears. So if you could look at your phone, type in what you hope to learn today. Or what are you hoping to take away from the workshop? If you want to lean over and tell your buddy, I think I had it set up for multiple entries. So if you want to tell your friend or your person sitting next to you. Does anyone that doesn't have a phone want to know, yes, I see a question?
Yeah, I was typing and it was too long, so I'm just gonna say it, if that's okay.
Or go ahead and abbreviate it, and you can still say the longer one.
Yeah, so previously our team member had an LGBTQ, member of the community as a caseworker on our team. And now we don't anymore. And so everybody on our team is an ally, but not a part of the community. So essentially just looking for tips to take back to our team for successful outreach to LGBTQ veterans. And knowing that we want to go into spaces that we can let folks know that we're there to help with employment. But I think some of us are hesitant to go into a space and not wanting to make the community feel like I'm going into it, but I'm not a part of it, right? I'm an ally, I can support, but don't want to feel like we're infiltrating a space where it's for community members. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a balance there, so.
I would put that as just inclusive practices.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who wants to put something on here? I can add it from here. Is there, yes?
My phone is not doing this well.
Uh-oh.
I just want to learn to better serve our veterans that are in that area, in that population. The VA's kind of bailed on them recently, so I just want to be able to better serve.
Got it. Appreciate it. Better serve LGBTQ.
Robin, you open the submission.
Oh, for crying out loud, why is it locked?
That's why we have nice things.
It's back open now. I don't know why it's shut down.
But it's very nice things.
Oh, it's got a timer, that's why.
Oh, okay. Oh, I put a timer so that people wouldn't lollygag. Does anyone else have anything they want added? No? Okay. So we can look at the screen. I see people are still typing. Yes, understanding, better understanding, how to support, inclusive. Let's see. Resources comes up quite a fair amount. This isn't really a resource session, but I do have a slide in there that shows all the resources that I use on a daily basis. So there are resources in there, but let's see if I can remove that. Confidence to work with. Yes. See how to support understanding. Okay, so we are on the right track, and we are going to cover those things. Thank you for doing that. It helps me stay on track. for later on in the session. Just be thinking about this as we go along. At the end of the session, I'll ask you what your key takeaways were, and then I'll ask you what didn't we cover today that you are hoping that we cover. And for the folks that came in, there is a QR code on the screen. Or someone could just lean over and talk. Thank you. Again, we're back to the what questions? Oh, look, someone already put questions in there. Excellent. You can add questions and you can make them anonymous. You can ask again. They'll show up here and then they'll show up at the end of the presentation. If I don't know the answer to it, I'll go find the answer and get it to you. Let's see. The questions can be on material we covered today, LGBTQ related topics, any respectful personal questions, all that stuff. It's fair game today. If you could look at your phone and just answer the quiz. Is there anyone that doesn't have a phone that would like a refresher on what the letters are for LGBTQ? I will add yours. I don't need a refresher. All right, looks like the A's have it, so I will do a brief refresher. I put the flags up there that associate with each one. So the L is lesbian, that's women that love women. G is gay for men that love men. B is bisexual, and T is for trans. Q is for queer or questioning, but more often it's queer. And then the plus, when you see that, it just means there's additional identity behind that. Sometimes you might see something like STWS LGBTQ IA+. I don't use that because RCW defined my position as LGBTQ+. Why do you see things like this? The reason you see additional letters is because it centers that identity. Especially in Washington, you'll see it written like this. The 2S, the EC is for two-spirit or two-spirited. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on that one, and if anybody has a better definition or wants to add to it, I am absolutely open for that. But I want to go a little bit deeper because when I first started the job, I had some misconceptions about what that is, so hopefully I can clear some of those up. But that's used to indicate a person whose body both simultaneously houses a masculine and feminine spirit. It can also be used more abstractly. It could indicate the presence of two contrasting human spirits, perhaps a warrior and mother clan. Two-spirit is actually an English term that came out in 1990. And it was part of an intertribal conference in Winnipeg. And the word describes indigenous North Americans who fulfill one of many mixed gender roles that are traditionally found in Native Americans and Canadian First Nations. The two spirits have been documented in over 130 tribes. Every region of North America. It's important to know that the term two-spirit varies from tribe to tribe. It's not a single term that covers every single tribe. So it's not universal, so you have to understand how each tribe treats two-spirit. Also, not all Native people identify as being two-spirit. Some use either lesbian, gay, bisexual, or queer. The reason I give a little explanation is because when I first started, I just thought two-spirit was the trans version for indigenous people, and that's not the case. So I wanted to share that. Does anybody have anything that they would like to correct or add to that? Yes, I'll come over here.
So
If you want to stay on this
I think
side.
I'm loud enough.
Well, it records.
Hello, my name's Terry. So honestly, a lot of people get a little offended by this, but the tribes considered themselves gender fluid. We didn't know the binary until Christianity came to our shores. And that's where that, he, she thing came about. So a lot of, even my two-spirited friends usually just say they're gender fluid. And so we didn't have any judgment. We knew that they were sacred to our people, and we honored our two-spirit people because they carry that special medicine. And so they're sacred to our people anyways, and so we hold them in high regard. Some are, are healers, some just, they're drawn to what they are drawn to. So some in the traditional way, we didn't have the schools, like when they got to a certain age, a child could pick whether it was they wanted to be a hunter or a fisherman or a root digger, and so it was just accepted that's what they wanted to do, and they were mentored with an elder, and that became their contribution to the village, and so.
Thank you so much. If there are no other comments, then Will, did you have anything about that? No, okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And then coming back to this, the I, that's for intersex. That's an umbrella term that describes bodies that fall outside of the binary of male or female. The old and now outdated term is hermaphrodite. That has negative connotations associated with it. It is still an appropriate term in science that's used to describe some fish, a whole lot of other things, but for people, we don't use that anymore. The A stands for asexual, and that is either little or no sexual attraction for folks, or a desire for sexual activity. It doesn't mean that person won't engage in that, it just means that's not their primary driver. Take it or leave it. Some are fine, some aren't. So after this, we're gonna go through some thought exercises here. So whether or not you're a member of the LGBTQ community, you probably have some thoughts about Pride Month. It's an opportunity for the next few minutes to think about your assumptions, or just anything you've learned or anything you've experienced. And then if anyone's comfortable, we'll go over a few. I'm going to play you a short clip just so you can see what direction I'm heading, and you can think about what direction you're heading. If you can hit the play button. I can't control the volume, so sorry. So Pride Month for me is the ability to center the identity of LGBTQ folks, being able to have a celebration for folks that normally aren't celebrated. I know it started as a riot and it's an act of resistance, but for some folks, that's their only opportunity to be out and about. For a day, you can live authentically without fear of reprisal.
When I was in the military, I was blessed with the fact that I
Oh,
worked for a lot of people who.
Thank you. So now it's your turn to go ahead and enter some thoughts.
Does anyone know the password for the Wi-Fi here?
Meetings, all lowercase meetings.
And this is a new question this year. In the past, I've asked you, where did you learn, or where did you first learn about LGBTQ people? And actually, if you've been to this session before, I used to start somewhere else, and I'd never get to this material. So today we're starting with this material. seems like we should have music. So. Yeah. What we can do is have people still type. Is there anyone, while folks are still typing, that would like to share or has something that they would like to share? If you don't, that's fine. You don't have to. This is really just an introspective exercise, but I like to give folks a chance. Has anyone been to Seattle Pride? Yeah. I think over the weekend there's over 300,000 people that attend. It is wall-to-wall people. It's a bit much for your first time. I do outreach at Portland Pride as well, and my mom lives there, and she came to my booth, and that was her first Pride. And Portland Pride is a lot like Seattle Pride. There's people with no tops, with buttless chaps, and she was just, it's like being punched in the face, but she was there for it. She had her little doggy stroller with flags all over it.
That's great.
And if you don't want something so wild, there's smaller ones like Chelan or Skamania, or Olympia has a smaller one. Tacoma's pretty big if you're in that area. I also did Yakima and Better Pride here, did that one, and Troy City actually has one too. They're a lot more manageable than this.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. It was at the fairgrounds. It was set up with the best. I know this is silly, but there were trees everywhere. It was so nice. Yeah, Tacoma. So normally it's held in the middle of the city, like on Blacktop. So this is the first. Yes.
We got one over here too.
I was just gonna say, if you haven't been to a Pride celebration, one of my suggestions would actually be to go up to one of the smaller communities, because they tend to have communities that are underrepresented, and they're actually just an amazing way to meet people in a very much more like setting, and that's been really wonderful for my personal growth. So
I would concur with that. I went to Skamania Pride. It felt like a community event, tight-knit community event, everyone talking to everyone. It was great.
The Puyallup tribe has been celebrating their Two-Spirit LGBT Pride events every year. So we got the table there again this year, and each year it just gets bigger and bigger, but it's all local community-based organizations, a lot of the tribal programs, and to see so many tribal members out free and expressing and just being, and the elders that are coming out to understand they can be who they are and not fear. And that was great. And then the Jamestown Slalom has been the #1 sponsor for the Squid Pride. And that was that was kicked off by one of the tribal elders on campus, who he and his partner have been together for about 100,000 years. He's finally retired from his performing, I can't remember what his drag name is, but just like wanted to get back and get the community out. And so they were one of the first to actually fly the pride flag, even though the majority of the community was anti-community flag. Did it? You don't like it? Don't look at it. It's been a huge hit ever since.
I can imagine.
Oh, I didn't realize it was
The Squally too.
Is Nisqually doing theirs?
The Squally does them too.
Oh, cool. I heard that.
The battery.
Judge, that's heard it.
Is it dead?
So I'm from Camas, Washington. I've had to do the bigger Pride events for Department of Health, but this year was their 3rd one, so if someone's looking for a small town one, I'll be at next year's. I'm not gonna go to the bigger one. So Camas really needs people to show up and support theirs.
I attended, I'm not inside of the community, but I did attend an event in Seattle, Pride Month, a parade. It was fantastic. It was so loving and engaging. It was craziness, happiness, and all kinds of things in between. So I highly encourage people to go out and be an ally and engage in the community, because it's a fantastic time. And it was a really good experience. So I highly recommend people go out and check it.
Awesome. Thanks to everyone for sharing. I will say I've had the opportunity to walk in Seattle Pride. If you could imagine, actually, I started crying during, because if you could imagine walking down a road and they're packed 10 to 15 deep for a mile and a half or something, and they are cheering for you being you. You kind of get, the first time you kind of get blasted with the feels, all the feels is what I say. Yeah, looks like somebody is still typing.
Both my kids marched and cried.
We'll wrap this one up. There we go. And we will thank you for participating in that one. And if you can think about this one, what specific issues are you concerned about when you're working with LGBTQ individuals? There's a sweet spot. Hello. I will say I can appreciate that, but as a state employee, I have to steer clear of that topic. So, yeah.
I would say though, because I don't have a little disability. I mean, I appreciate it, but I think it's also being there for the mental health of like aftermath from so many changes coming after like 6 months and more to come for the next like 3 years. I think it's really like the mental health ripples because of changes.
I see one up there, being aware of past harms, trauma, and history. I do have an entire workshop on that, about an hour and a half, but it goes in depth on the past experiences. It also gives me an idea of some things I can cover. We will talk about offending inadvertently.
I've also had safety and access to care. Safety and access to care,
Yeah, access to care, especially since the VA rescinded VA Regulation 1341 pamphlet. Yes.
I'd also have to say safe, because I was working with a member from the community, and they were very afraid of getting a new job and going on an interview and having all of their past history of paperwork in their previous name. So how do you get over that barrier?
That one often just depends on the employer. Okay. Some employers, I know our agency, you have a legal name as being on paperwork, but the organization will call you by your chosen name. Right. It's unfortunate that there isn't, you have to go to court, change your name, all those things. I can assist with changing your name on the DD 214, but it takes a while. Yeah. Okay, if we can wrap this one up. Is there another microphone? This thing has like. All right, let's try this one. So I have an entire 90-minute session just on this topic. But today we're just going to touch on it, just to give you a little taste of it. So in general, those identifying as LGBTQ tend to experience higher levels of isolation, depression, anxiety, fear of being outed, physical harm, and a lack of trust with others. LGBTQ veterans have been serving in the United States military since the Revolutionary War. I make that distinction because I've been told I don't include beyond that, but this is about U.S. military. And they've been serving since the Revolutionary War, some openly, but most served in silence, with great risk to their safety and mental health. Those that were caught were often punished, incarcerated, denied due process, kicked out of the military, and stripped of essential benefits and post-service support. Don't Ask, Don't Tell is probably the most well-known period that most of us probably know about in military history. But not everyone served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Many older veterans served under far different circumstances. But regardless of when somebody served, the universal constant was discrimination and harassment. There is trauma from decades of policies against LGBTQ veterans, and that simply can't be undone overnight. That trauma that they have will have absolutely nothing to do with their physical military service, but rather it's related to homophobia and transphobia. So, and this, if you don't want to hear trigger warnings for sexual assault or injury to people, now's your chance to close your ears. But I just want to give a couple of current examples of what I get in my office. I'm going to read them directly off of here. One case I had, I was sexually assaulted by 4 individuals that were the same sex as me. I've been holding this for 20 years, and I think I'm ready to start dealing with this. This person was afraid of how they would feel, actually went with them to their MST counseling just to get them in the door because they've been holding on to this for so long and afraid of what people will think. If someone assigned male at birth was raped by 4 other men, that their own identity is questioned. Another one I had was I was choked to unconsciousness by another troop while they said they were going to kill me. It resulted in flashbacks, nightmares, depression, anxiety, and suicidality, where I believe I'm back there in the moment. Thank you so much for your assistance. I couldn't make it this far without you. Unfortunately, this person still has PTSD, but we were able to get them 100% for the PTSD. Even in my own job, I hear things, and I'll read some of these. I've been called it. When information is posted to social media by my agency, you get things like, why the hell is this even a thing? And get this crap off of my veteran website. I also have this wonderful person here that edited it for brevity, but this was a love note that they wrote me. There will be some salty language. I'm just reading their words. I want to personally thank you for the gay, tranny, or whatever so-called category you fall under, and your personal contributions to the degradation of society. I'm absolutely appalled that jobs for shitbags like you are funded by Washington state tax dollars, as well as likely funding your medical coverage for whatever train wreck you've got going on. Brothers and sisters like me sacrificed ourselves and fought for this country and its values. You are an incredibly minuscule portion of the population, and we the people don't give a fairy fuck about what you want and what you advocate for. Shame on you for degrading our flag with your flag. They said that because we have the WDVA logo that has its rainbow. Your destruction of society's moral fiber is astoundingly ridiculous and grotesque. Those are just a few things. It's still happening. Hasn't gone away.
Where do you think that stems from? What's driving them to say those horrible words? But they obviously believe life should be this way. What's driving that train?
I don't think that there is one reason, but several, and everyone will have their own. That's how they were raised.
Religion? One of it?
It could be just how they were raised, and not all religion. I mean, I go to pride events, and there are churches up and down. Either the upgrading, and then the other one, my personal opinion, is part of the thou dost protest too much. So,
and your political view?
Political view, and even this happened to me. There is resentment towards people who get to live their life like they want. You can't live your life the way you want, and when you see somebody else living their life, their best life, why should they get to? I can't. So I understand that it's the same for me before coming out. Yes.
I'm a peer specialist, and I was really blessed to have a couple veterans that are transgender that were very honest, and they provided me information, which has been great. And they continue to just support what I'm learning, and so that I better serve them.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. I will cut it off there. I apologize if you didn't get to say something, but believe it or not, we've got a lot to get through. Of course, the phone locks. It's pretty neat. You can change all the slides and operate it from your phone. Oh no, we're gonna do a little quiz, so if you can get out your phone. If I try not to have any gotcha questions on here, it should be straightforward. If you think there's a gotcha question, come tell me or say it now, but the intent is not to get you. And they should be straightforward. If you don't know the answer, that's absolutely fine. The intent here is just to get you thinking about it. Can you hit the start button? Yeah, absolutely. It says 1 of 6, but there are 6 questions throughout the entire presentation. And actually, I can make sound here. But it's really annoying. Would you all like to, you guys can share if you want. But there's only 8 seconds to go. No. Hey, everyone got that one. I tried to make it pretty obvious. There's also the weasel words in some of the questions too, the alls and always and must always do, these kinds of things. Oh, here we can do this. I suspect most people don't know this one, but it's just here to get your brain moving. while we're doing this, I'll say if you have not assisted an LGBTQ veteran yet, there's a good chance that you. The current is 9.3%. Every year the Gallup poll does a survey, and the current is 9.3%, and it's been going up every year. It's probably higher, but per the survey. Does anybody know what the most common identifier in the U.S. is? It's bisexual. Here, we'll give you one of these. Oh, it's not working.
What Kinsey that said that no one's 100%, almost no one is 100% straight or 100% gay. Yeah, it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum.
This slide is out of place. Sometimes the software does that. It shuffles the slides and it's very frustrating. We'll come back to that one. No, it's fine. It's look at Will. Okay. So what I was going to say is, if you haven't served an LGBTQ veteran yet, there are just veterans in general. There are just over 500,000 veterans in Washington, and at that 9.3%, there's over 47,000 LGBTQ veterans in the state of Washington. So you will probably help one soon. These got all out of whack. And this is supposed to be later, but the point of this slide was to level set. You know, everyone talks about the gay or queer agenda. Maybe other people have a different idea, but I just want a regular life. That's it.
And there are no more toasters,
No more toasters.
for those who remember.
I don't.
The Ellen episode.
Oh, I never saw it.
You come out, you get a toaster.
Oh, okay. Nice. There we go. All right, so these are the most common pride flags that you'll see. They're not the only pride flags. It's common for folks to say, why are there so many darn flags? And my opinion is because as humans, we learn more about who we are, and over time, we find ways to express the way we experience life. So as we continue on, like you'll see bisexual as an umbrella, but bisexual, on the next slide, it's a multisexuality. Under that, there are multiple versions of liking more than one sex. Another thing I'll point out, if you look in the upper left, you'll see the pride flags. There is no pride flag on the left. That is the pride flag. So when someone says pride flag, but they're talking about the third one, the third one up there is actually the intersex progress pride flag. The second one is the progress pride flag. So if you ask someone for a pride flag, you're going to get the first one, because that's the original pride flag. Why do they keep changing? Well, it's not like there's a central repository for pride flags and only one person controls it. People create new flags because, in addition to when the letters of LGBTQ, when you have more, it centers that identity on that. So if you look at the second one, you'll notice there's white, pink, blue, black, and brown. Does anyone want to take a stab at what those might be? It's trans is the pink, white, and blue, and then brown and black is for brown and black people. The third one, the intersex progress pride flag, that gives it away. When you see the yellow there, it adds the yellow with a circle. That's for intersex. So it just becomes more inclusive.
What is that bisexual?
That's someone who will not trying to remember sexually, that until they have a romantic connection, they won't have a sexual connection.
Or don't experience attraction until that happens.
Right. Let's see, so we've got those. Let's move to multisexuality. I get asked this all the time, to be quite honest. I have to carry this with me because I don't remember what each one is, but I brought a video to help explain it. I know with pansexual, my daughter calls it spicy pie.
How old is your daughter, Robin? You said
21.
What's the difference between pansexual and homosexual? Oh, perfect, okay.
Well, did she just turn 21 like last night?
We're celebrating her 21st this week. She's already 21, but I had oral surgery recently and I couldn't go out with it. So she's driving now. She goes to college in Portland. So she's actually here now. Not here, but back in Lacey. Could you hit the play button, please?
Bi Visibility Day is on the 25th of September. So here's a quick rundown of the most commonly seen multisexualities that often fall under the bi umbrella. So to start off with, we of course have bisexuality, which refers to people who are attracted to two or more genders. It's sort of similar to the non-binary label in the way that bisexual is often used both as a separate identity and an umbrella term that pansexual, polysexual, omnisexual, and others all fall under. AKA every pan could be considered bisexual, but not every bi is also pan. It's also important to remember that the term bi doesn't actually enforce a gender binary. Although in the past it's been used to signify that a bi person is both straight and gay, when in fact they're neither. They're just bi. In comparison, the second most common multisexuality label is pan or pansexual, which refers to folks who are attracted to all genders, sexes, and gender presentations. The most notable difference to bisexuals is that pans are usually considered to be sort of gender blind, which means that another person's gender doesn't have an influence on a pan's attraction to them. So due to their gender blindness, pans usually lack a preference for a certain gender, like other multisexualities often have. Whereas polysexual is more nuanced in that they're generally attracted to more than one gender, but not to all. So it's very similar to how bisexuality was defined for a long time. The difference being that bisexual can be more of a broader umbrella term for all multisexual labels, while polysexual is much more specific. And don't forget that polysexual has nothing to do with being polyamorous. So a polysexual is no more likely to have multiple romantic partners than someone of any other sexuality would be. Now, on to omnisexuality. So omnisexuals are attracted to all genders, sexes, and gender presentations. It differs from pansexuality because omnisexuals aren't generally gender blind, and another person's gender still bears some significance to them, even if it's just a particular preference, which is also what separates it from pansexuals. Omnis can and often do have a preference towards a certain gender, while pans generally don't. But don't forget that all of these sexualities can also be a romantic orientation, which describes someone's passionate romantic attraction based on the other person's gender regardless of their own sexual orientation. For example, there's biromantic, panromantic, omni, and polyromantic among others. So that's a wrap for multisexuals, the bi umbrella explained. Wishing all the bis out there a very happy Bi Visibility Day. See you next time.
Before we move on, if you've heard this, I apologize, but I would say, and this is a joke, but I'm bisexual. I like women and Pedro Pascal. I also heard that expressed as a pedrosexual.
Here for it.
So this is just a little metaphor that I like from Schitt's Creek. If you've seen it, please enjoy it again. If you haven't, enjoy it for the first time.
So, just to be clear, I'm a red wine drinker.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. I only drink red wine.
Okay.
And up until last night, I was under the impression that you too only drank red wine. But I guess I was wrong.
I see where you're going with this. I do drink red wine, but I also drink white wine. And I've been known to sample the occasional rosé. And a couple summers back, I tried a Merlot that used to be a Chardonnay, which got a bit complicated.
Okay, yeah, so you're just really open to all wines.
I like the wine and not the label. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. This is just very new to me, so as long as you didn't roll over and cry yourself to sleep with regret, then we're good, right?
No, I absolutely did that. Just wept for hours in the dark. I say we go with this one, it's the biggest.
That's a pretty good description of a metaphor for pansexual. Basically, doesn't care, just like them all. Another one of these. You have your phone. If you could come in after we started, there's a QR code there. If you have your smartphone, you can scan it and join the participation. Oh,
Yeah.
Did it skip it? Yeah, just, we'll let it sit here for a second. The network's a little slow here, so. Okay, flags, there we go.
You have to submit, that's all. Is it
You can't do it wrong.
Is anyone else experiencing difficulty entering in their answers?
Yes.
We've got a couple of folks. Okay. Submit's not working.
Does it say submission closed at the bottom?
No.
Oh, there we go. Doesn't give you the option to submit. It did.
Okay, so you can get it.
Did it magically fix itself?
If you refresh it.
Okay, so try refreshing the page. That might
Yeah.
resolve the issue.
Sometimes the packets get lost on their way to the store.
No.
Oh no.
It fixed, you just had to redo it, so.
Okay, yeah, just refresh the page. Everyone can see what the correct ones were. The one most people don't know about is the ally flag. It looks like an A. Alright, so in this section we'll talk about LGBTQ competencies and inclusive practices that can help make the environment more comfortable for LGBTQ veterans. As with many things that anytime something is discussed, it covers some, but not all possible aspects. You'll get a pretty good idea of inclusive practices. Also remember things change over time, language, the way words we use, how we identify changes. So things might change, and everything doesn't apply to every person, but we try to use the 51% rule where if it applies to most people, that's what we'll use. So essentially, what we're going to cover will answer the question, what can I do to better serve LGBTQ veterans? As we start this, I'd say if you walk away with nothing else today, what can you do to better serve LGBTQ veterans? Lead with kindness and do your best. It doesn't matter if you know all the answers. Intent has a huge impact, and it matters so much. So somebody sees that you are trying your hardest, it has a big impact. My mom is 70, and she screws up all the time. And if you've heard this before, I apologize, but I have seen her crying privately where she thought I couldn't see her talking to my sister because she's trying so hard to get it right. It's not malicious, sometimes she gets things wrong, but I see the intent. So if you do your best, lead with kindness, I think it'll be okay. Give yourself some grace. I think folks will understand. But what is cultural competency? That's the ability to work and communicate effectively and cross-culturally from people with from different backgrounds or cultural groups. It involves developing an understanding of their cultural backgrounds and those around you, being aware of how those cultural contexts, they shape their values, views, norms, experiences, needs, language, and communication styles. I put this on here too because they asked me during my interview about this. In the context of providing services to veterans, increasing your cultural competence can improve your service delivery, increase that therapeutic relationship you have with the veteran, the connection of trust, and positively impact your organization's ability to provide those services. There's supposed to be a quiz here, but this is being very silly. Let's see if I can. We're going to skip that because the software is angry at me. Yeah, we run through these and
I'll stop it.
so while I'm doing this, if someone wants to volunteer, if I was to ask you a question, what is just ignore the screen right now, what is a good way for you to identify a veteran if you are out doing outreach? Should you say something like, did you serve in the military? Or should you say, are you a veteran? Or do you think you should say, did you go to war? Do you have any ideas? I hear it from the front. There's a microphone in the back. You win though, you got first.
I usually ask, when I do outreach, I usually ask, do you know of any veterans around here? I don't really pinpoint them. I kind of make a roundabout question. And if they're willing to give me the answer, yeah, me, then I accept that.
Okay, that's a very creative way. But the point is, some people understand, or they don't understand the statutory definition. They don't understand the statutory definition of a veteran. They're only familiar with the social definition of a veteran. And sometimes, especially LGBTQ veterans, have been told, you're not even a veteran. Some older populations will say, I didn't go to war, I'm not really a veteran, right? Without understanding. And if you're VSO, you probably know that because you'll hear all the time, well, there's other people who deserve it more than me, or I didn't go to combat. So it's not just LGBTQ folks. I'm gonna look here real quick, because this, we're just gonna get a note from me. There. And finally, geez, did you serve in the military? Yes, that's usually a preferred method, and you'll probably get more responses figuring out if someone is a veteran. Because of that, so the identifier of veteran is a very high value status in the US. The definition of, or LGBTQ folks is a very low value identifier. So it's why some people may not even, I often don't even go to veteran-specific events because I won't see anybody from the LGBTQ community. That's why I do pride events, I do drug and alcohol awareness events, things like that, because I have to go to where the folks are. Let's see, so yeah, we can be more inclusive that way. I swear it's not matching up over there. The next one will be allyship. Can you look for the one that says allyship? It doesn't matter, the slide just says allyship on it, so it's not like it even matters. You can stare at the screen if you want and see what he's doing. But an ally is just someone who supports and advocates for a marginalized group. I would add that anything I say today is not specific to LGBTQ people. Most of what I say today about how to treat people, such as ally or anything like that, it's universal across the board. I tend to get tunnel vision and think of my community, but it applies to people of color. You can be ally for any marginalized group. And even I sometimes forget that. But it's, yes.
So as a white passing Indian, we had a whole lot of talk with my college Native group. We were talking about how allies feel like they're cheerleaders. Cheerleaders with the pom-poms on the sidelines. And I said, I want a cheerleader. I want a co-conspirator in the ditches working with me, like Ben. You're a co-conspirator, Ben. I don't, so I always have a hard time with ally because it's like that aspect of, I don't need a cheerleader. I need somebody who's gonna come and, walk, the pride parade with me or do that work with us. So I struggle with that word.
Yeah, so ally is, there are different types of allies. I mean, I won't say the lowest form, but one form is the performative ally. That's somebody who wears the t-shirt or changes the picture on the Instagram site, and that's the end of it. That's the cheerleader, neat, but it's not really doing anything. It's someone who,
Yeah, with our organization, when we have allies, we ask them to stand beside us, not behind us and not in front of us. And if we're gonna get dirty in the trenches, you're gonna get dirty in the trenches. That's what an ally is.
I think if you boil it down, it's somebody who uses their privilege to assist a marginalized group, takes on their own discomfort to help somebody less fortunate.
Being a peer specialist, one of our primary jobs is to walk along beside somebody, and that's a huge piece. As she was saying over there, having someone with her, so that's a cool part of her support.
Close the ally out with, there's no perfect ally. Allyship is not about perfection, it's about consistent effort and collaboration and decentering your own comfort and remaining open to growth. So as we switch to this slide, other than the things on the seats you see here today, who noticed things that might lead you to believe this is an inclusive space?
Stickers.
In this group. If an LGBTQ person walked in, what might make them believe this is a place where they'll be treated with dignity and respect? There's a big, I have a veteran pin that's got rainbow. This. There's a safe space. There's a proud Washington veteran. They put an ally sticker right when you walked in so someone could see it. Just little symbols. Yeah. The reason those little things, they can make all the difference to someone. I'll share a personal anecdote. So, 2 months ago, at night, my dog couldn't stand up anymore. And so we went to the vet hospital, and it was down in Olympia, and sometimes that's hit or miss. He was a new vet. And so I'm thinking, my wife and I are there. Are they going to treat us fairly? Are they going to give the dog all the care that it needs? And in the back, they had a little pride flag. Something as simple as that lets you know that at least somebody there is thinking along those lines. But a small symbol like that can make all the difference. Oh, I wrote down with the sign at the entrance, the ally sign, stickers on the table, a water bottle. There's a set of sunglasses sitting right there that have rainbow on them. My rainbow heart pin and the rainbow veteran pin. So what you see here on the screen are samples of LGBTQ symbols. In the hands of our allies, these can be used to tell us that we're safe. These safe spaces are brave spaces where marginalized identities are safe to speak of their experiences without a fear of discrimination. These safe spaces indicate that a person does not tolerate violence, or harassment, or hate speech, and it's a safe place for people to be. They're not treated as insignificant or peripheral. These spaces can be anywhere, everywhere. What I'd say is if you can consider making these signs or symbols visible in your office, either on your desk, but you don't have to hang a huge sign. A small symbol can help people feel supported, which is why you'll see on your seats around you, there's ally stickers. You don't have to stick them up. But it is one way to just show people, for veterans, that you can support them. Yes?
And just to kind of add on to that, don't use the two-spirit LGBT person as a prop. So like I have a friend in our community, she's a tribal elder who's trying to educate herself, but every time she introduces us, oh, these are my gay friends. Yeah, okay, but, and there are other times too when you see the ally, trying to out the community member, and the community member may not be that stereotypical 1970s Hollywood gay or lesbian or bi, just don't out them.
Along those lines, even in the trans community, one trans person will not walk up to another trans person in public. If you notice, they're not 100% passing, even within the community. You don't go out somebody. Let's see. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Correct. Next slide.
Okay, at this point. Yeah, see, it's doing its own thing. Can you hit the start button?
Oh, sure.
Look, it's just, I don't even know what it's doing. Can you go forward? I think it's thinking.
Here we go. All right, now it's ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it goes straight, okay. Yay. If we don't wrap up, I'm gonna turn the music back on. I put all kinds of words that hopefully led people to that response. But, yeah, that one was pretty straightforward. Advance. I'm gonna just go with that one because the phone is being difficult. Okay, one more please.
Well, give me your phone.
What about the other
Well, you run a nonprofit that does this work.
So we're gonna cover,
I'm calling you out. Undermanaged, by the way.
we're gonna cover, an entire semester or quarter or whatever working material in about 30 seconds, so just roll with it. I share with intersectionality because it helps understanding how various identities can create different modes of discrimination and privilege in some cases. It identifies multiple factors of advantage and disadvantage. They include all the things on the screen there. There's more, but those are the ones that fit pretty on the screen, so that's what you get. Let's see. So those intersecting identities can overlap, and they can either be empowering or oppressing. Sometimes folks like to play oppression Olympics. Well, I'm more oppressed than you. That's not the point of this, of intersectionality. The point is you cannot view somebody with a single lens. A person has multiple identities that shape who they are. And what brought Kimberly Crenshaw to that belief was when she saw a case that led her to her definition of intersectionality. It was a black woman that applied for work at a manufacturing plant, but she was denied. She sued, claiming the organization refused to hire her because she was a black woman. But the court said, no, they do hire black people, and they hire women. But using intersectionality as an analytical framework, they did hire black people, but they only hired men for mechanical and technical positions. They did hire women, but they only hired women for clerical positions. So she didn't fit any of those categories because of her intersectional identities, more than one identity. So in short, folks aren't one-dimensional. It helps you better understand if you understand all of their identities. Next, please. There's also a section on dominant culture, but I'll come back to that if there's time. So the gender unicorn, this is just a way to understand the different gender identity, gender expression, sex assigned at birth, you're physically or emotionally attracted to. With gender identity, that's one's own internal sense of being male, female, both, or another gender. Everyone has a sexual identity, including y'all in here. For trans people, it's people who were, their sex assigned at birth in their own internal sense is different. Now's probably a good time to bring up cisgender. You see it at the bottom. Cis is just Latin. It's a Latin term. It just means on the side of, or on the same side of. So when you say somebody is cisgender, all it means is the gender they were assigned at birth matches how they feel about themselves now. It's not a slur. It's a Latin term used to describe it. Just like trans is a Latin term that means across from, and that person, their identity is across from what they were assigned at birth. Next slide, please. Can you hit the play button, please?
What is cisgender? Ask Amaze. When you were born, a medical provider looks at your genitals and assigns you a sex. If you have a penis, you will be assigned male, a boy. And if you have a vulva and vagina, you will be assigned female, a girl. Cisgender people feel that their gender identity aligns with their sex assigned at birth. For example, if a person assigned female and girl at birth continues to feel like a girl and identifies as a girl as an adult, then she is cisgender. The way someone expresses their gender can change. But if they continue to identify as the same gender they were assigned at birth, then they are cisgender. The important thing to remember is that no matter if a person is transgender, cisgender, gender non-binary, gender non-conforming, or another gender, everyone deserves love and respect.
Next slide, please. So we used to describe gender as a spectrum. The problem with saying that implies that there are two endpoints, and those are the correct endpoints, and anything in between is not on the correct side. So if you're not on the male side or the female side, that's not correct. If you go to the next slide. There are other ways to describe gender. Some people describe it as a color wheel, anywhere on that color wheel. Another is a universe. Imagine that every person's gender is a star in that universe. It's unique, distinct. Sometimes they cluster into galaxies, but not on two sides of the spectrum, where everyone else is just defined as in between or dependent on the binary. Next slide, please. Gender expression, that's just how someone looks in the world, what clothes they wear, how they present themselves. If there is someone assigned male at birth wearing a dress, does that mean they're a woman? Not always. It just means they're expressing themselves like that. That's all expression is. Attraction, there's emotional and physical attraction. People experience or don't experience it in a lot of different ways. Two common ways, at least two you see up here. You can think of physical attraction as physical behaviors, intimate behaviors like touching or kissing, or intercourse, or romantic attraction is the drive to engage socially, or in socially intimate behaviors like flirting or dating or deep conversations, or just sitting quietly together. Sometimes marriage. My wife is Ace. She's married. We're married. Doesn't mean they won't get married. The point here being is we're all socialized to oversimplify all of this. We think that once we know one thing about a person, we know everything about the person. So if y'all close your eyes and think about a woman in your head, what are you picturing? There's a good chance that within that picture in your mind, you know what she looks like and who she's attracted to. You might assume she expresses herself in feminine ways, that she was assigned male at birth, she embodies femaleness and is exclusively attracted to men. And I use the same example here. I was a Fred Meyer, I didn't have my discount card, and the lady asked me, I said, oh, I have my exes. And she said, yeah, but he's gonna get all the points. I was like, that's someone making, based on my physical appearance, they made assumptions about who I'm attracted to. So the image that you see here, it's not true or complicated enough for most of us. Many of us exist in different degrees or scales. We zigzag back and forth in ways that break assumptions and norms. It's not a utopian vision of the world. It's just how it depicts it today. Next slide, please. Binary versus non-binary, we've kind of touched on this. It's just folks that fall outside of the traditional male and female. Society often looks at folks as only possibly being one or the other, but that's not how everyone experiences the world. Next slide. I like to talk about this. I think it's important to understand. So everyone's journey is different. It's a common argument for some people to say that LGBTQ people choose to be that way. My own perspective from an N of one is that you don't choose that. They'll say you chose a lifestyle. My own experience is you don't choose a lifestyle. What you do choose is whether or not you're going to live your true self or not. You are inherently that person whether or not you choose to express it.
Robin, one of the things that in our Indigenous community, I mean with my veterans, whether our community here, they say, Creator doesn't make mistakes. So if that was put into you and that you want to work, live your true self, it's not a mistake. Creator does not make mistakes. And so, so if people are born in one body but they feel a different way, that's what Creator put in them. And so people are really to give it that spirit where they realize that this is something Creator put on me. And when you talk about Creator only puts on you what you can handle. And so it just kind of gives that freedom for that person to be able to be their true self.
Got it. Thank you. So with pronouns, the pronoun is just a word that replaces the noun. It's not related to sexual preference. It's rather for gender identity. What you'll see up here are the most common pronouns. There are also neopronouns that are not proficient in. So what if you need to know someone's pronouns? Well, ask yourself, do you really need to know them? Is it a short interaction? But if you do need to know, what can you do? You can create space for them to feel comfortable. When you do that, it's for mutual respect and basic courtesy. It normalizes pronouns. Using correct pronouns can be suicide prevention. It transcends gender identity. It's a basic human dignity. It's validating and affirming, and it's allyship in action. Chosen name and legal name, what's the difference? A person's legal name is what's on their legal documents and their ID, social security card, and all those things. Someone's chosen name is the name they would like to be called. Some people won't use it, but we call people nicknames all the time. Think of it as a nickname. But their name may not match legal documents. Not everyone can change their name. There's a lot of legal barriers, there's economic barriers. Washington's great. When I changed my name, the judge said to my mom, because she was with me, "Are you the mom? Come on up here, get you some pictures." But there are some states, what is it, maybe Tennessee, they will not allow a trans person to change their name until they're 21, even if their parents give the approval. And sometimes I have another friend in Arizona who's tried it 3 times, and the judges said, no, that's not a good reason to change your name, so you cannot change your name. Asking for sex assigned at birth. Sometimes we just have that on forms. Do you need to know what they were assigned at birth? Is it for federal verification? Is it, what is it for? Some of these languages, we'll cover them quickly. The most common ones, let's see. You can look at these. This one is the one I want to touch on. These are mostly word definitions, but they do matter. So when you see in the first column, the term transgender is the preferred and generally accepted term versus transgender. It's outdated and potentially offensive. Transgender is an adjective used to describe someone whose gender identifies different from the sex they were assigned at birth, while transgendered implies that someone has had something done to them. It's linguistically inappropriate as well. Would you say someone is lesbian or black? Those are one that denies their own dignity and makes it feel like something happened to you to make you who you are. Trans man or trans woman versus 2 separate words, trans man or trans woman. Grammatically, the correct version is trans woman separate, not trans woman altogether. Trans is an adjective and not part of the noun, for the same reason that it's a black woman, not a black woman. We'll wrap up here with imagine, I'm going to talk about some following things that LGBTQ people consider that others may take for granted. It's a privilege that most of us don't think about. As we go through these, I want you to please empathetically think and connect and reflect on the experience that you have or don't have in terms of privilege. Ask yourself, have you ever had to hide a piece of yourself in public? So some of the things are being able to find role models of your same sexual orientation, being able to feel safe in your interaction with police officers, being able to travel and show ID, without fear of being rejected, kissing, hugging, and being affectionate in public without threat of punishment or violence, raising children without state intervention, being employed as a preschool or elementary school teacher without people assuming that they're there to corrupt children, being able to access social services without fear of discrimination, and I'll wrap with this one, using public restrooms without the fear of punishment. I've had people beating on the door, threatening to kill me for using the bathroom they felt I shouldn't be in. If you're, just think about that from the privilege perspective. So we're almost done, that wraps up the content. My commitment to you, and I invite you to share in it, is to create that inclusive and affirming space where LGBTQ veterans, they feel valued and respected and supported through this education and outreach and advocacy. We can ensure that those policies or those injustices of the past are not repeated, and that every LGBTQ veteran receives the care and benefits that they deserve. It's so important that we continue the journey of advocacy and support, standing alongside LGBTQ veterans as champions of their rights. So I thank you for this. My time is up. The next slides, all those questions I asked you about, questions you always wanted to ask. If you want to come up after this, I can talk about them, or I can create, I can get the responses out to you. That's why I had people sign in, so I know who was here. I'm going to leave this open, so you can add your key takeaways at your own pace and distance. Same with, it's taking forever. Oh, this is the slide I mentioned, the selected resources. The best one that I found, if you're just looking for general resources, is the Washington State LGBTQ Commission. They have resources listed on there. If you're interested in knowing about each of those, these are all in the slide deck as well. And on your phone, the links, I tried to make them clickable. If you would like to leave, you can. So all these questions will be in here, and like I said, I'll leave it open.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you so much, Robin.